Most of us live our whole lives in fear, scared of stepping outside our comfort zone, trying new things, just remaining in a rat race, the same place we were last year. That's a paradox millions if not billions of people find themselves in. And I'm not talking about stupid fears like spiders, clowns or the darkness. I'm talking about deep-rooted fears that are deeply rooted inside of you, like fears of being alone, fears of dying, fears of not being successful, fears of being average. But in this video I'm going to give you a guide on how to not just only overcome your fears, but how to, overcome any hurdles and barriers that are preventing you from being where you want to be in life. See, the truth is that most of us aren't actually where we want to be. Ask most people and they're not satisfied with their lives. And one of the main reasons for that is because they're too scared to take risk. Because if it fails, then people may judge them and then they're in a bad position. But the famous quote goes, no risk, no story. To be successful in life, in whatever you do, you have to take risks. You have to be able to put yourself in situations where you don't know if you're going to come out on the brighter side. You have to be willing to take the hits and overcome your fears. Now, overcoming your fears is a gradual process, but the first step you can take is what's called exposure therapy. And this is basically where you just confront your fear face to face. If you're scared of spiders, just confront spiders. And it gets to a point where you slowly desensitize yourself to your fear. You confront it, that you're no longer scared of it. And if we get more deep here into the more deeply rooted fears like being average and not being successful, then confront your fear. Confront your fear of, being average by just looking at all of these people walking to work on their 9 to 5s. Just think to yourself, do you really want to be there? Furthermore, overcoming your fears requires determination and perseverance. See, these are things that are rooted into you. They're literally hardwired into your mind. It can be generational traumas. It can just be other things that are really deep, right? So overcoming them isn't going to happen in a couple of days. It may take weeks, months, years, for some people even decades. Some people never even overcome their fears because they're too scared to step outside their comfort zone. They go around life in a little bubble. For me, a fear I had was joining the gym. Back in the day, I wasn't in the best shape and I was pretty unfit. I was addicted to social media and junk food, and I'd have McDonald's pretty much every week. So, as expected, I wasn't in good shape, and that made me feel nervous and scared about joining the gym because I thought I was going to get judged by other people for the way I looked, and I just felt kind of awkward because I was really weak and I wasn't strong. But I realised that the only way for me to get out of this, this hole I found myself in, was to overcome my fear. Feel confident to take my top off at beach, I had to join the gym, right? So I realised that either way, I'm going to have to deal with this problem, whether that's in 30 years when I'm morbidly obese, or whether that's in 30 years and I'm in the best shape of my life. So I knew that I had to tackle this head on, grab the horns, and deep down, I realised that the only way out of it was through it. I had to join a gym. I had to, ditch any fears I had. I had to walk in and just get on with it. Now, it's all well and good overcoming fear, but you need to understand first off, why do we feel fear in the first place? Well, you have to link it back to the caveman days, back when we'd be hunting animals with spears and living in caves. See, back then we'd see things as a threat. We still do nowadays, but back then we weren't as advanced as we were now. We didn't have the technology and we weren't top of the food chain. So, if we saw an animal that was bigger than us, our brains associated it with danger. And that triggered the fight or flight response in our brain, where if we see something that poses as a threat, we either fight it or we just run away from it. Nowadays, in specific, people tend to flight more than fight, right? People tend to run away from their problems because that's the easier way to, solve them, right? Is to just run away from them, ignore them, pretend they don't exist. But imagine your fears and your problems as a fire, right? There's a fire in your house that represents your fears. If you ignore that fire, if you refuse to confront it because you're too scared of maybe getting burned a little bit, it's going to burn your whole house down. And then you're going to look back when your house is just a bunch of ashes and just think, maybe I should have took the fire out. But if you confront a fire, yes, you may get scarred a little bit, you may get hurt, you may get a few burns, then it'll be gone and you'll still have your house, you'll still have all the stuff. So that's what your problems and fears are like. They're like a fire. You have to confront them, right? And the way I managed to overcome my fears of, going to the gym and stepping outside my comfort zone was A, realising that, life is short-lived and we only get one shot at it, and B, realising that these fears were just stupid things that were just holding me back from being the best version of myself. You have to, cut off these things that hold you back, that keep you down. Okay, so one of the most underrated steps of overcoming your fear is to first off identify your fear. If you don't know what your fear is, then you're just shooting in the dark because you don't really know what to target and to overcome. And the second part is facing your fear, gradually exposing yourself to your fear until you just get to a point where you're desensitized to it. Just to challenge negative thoughts, about your fear. If you think the fear is due to something bad, then maybe you replace it with the fear as something good. You can use fear to your advantage. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. If your fear is being average, use it as fuel to motivate you to working harder and not being average, and just being the best version of yourself, the version that's deep down inside of you. Furthermore, try relaxation techniques like meditation and breathing in. Whilst they may sound silly to some people, these really help you to overcome your fears and just, conquer yourself. A man who conquers 1,000 battles on the battlefield has never truly conquered anything until he conquers himself. Moreover, if you're really struggling, you can just seek support from other people. Family members, friends, people who can help you overcome your fear, whether that's people who just listen to you. On top of that, you should be setting realistic goals. When you set goals, they're either way too high, unrealistic, unachievable. You start to develop this fear if you don't achieve them, this fear if you fail, and it starts to become more of a chore than an actual positive good thing, and that's when you start to fail. That's when you start to not see results. If I set the goal of doing 1,000 push-ups a day, it makes push-ups seem more like a chore, more of a burden. That's again this fear around not doing it, this fear of doing push-ups. Because if I set the more realistic goal of doing 100 a day, it takes away the chorification side of it. It just makes it more fun and enjoyable. Furthermore, you can visualize success. Imagine yourself succeeding in life, achieving all your goals, overcoming your fears. It gets to a point where, you want this thought so badly that not even your fears can stop you. So you just have to imagine yourself in your dream position and realise that those silly fears are holding you back, they're keeping you back. And once you realise that, you gain a new sense of freedom, and then from that point on, you can start achieving. In conclusion, it's down to you. As I like to say, it's a case of just how bad do you want it. If you want it bad enough, you'll face your fears. They're just small bumps in the road that are preventing you from succeeding. But if you don't actually want it that bad, you'll just let them take you down. You'll let them prevent you from being the best version of yourself. So take action, make the change, overcome your fears, overcome those boundaries, set realistic goals, self-care, do things that, help you get closer to your dreams, make you that step closer, not that step further away. Every day is a new opportunity to be a step closer or a step further away from your dreams. It's just down to you which one you want to be. So make sure to watch my next video that's going to be coming out later this week. I'm going to speak about a similar topic that I think you'll no doubt probably love. So stay tuned and peace.